Welcome to IELTS Easy. Listening 1. What to expect in listening. This lesson will take a detailed tour of the IELTS listening test. It will explore the format and layout of the test and review the types of questions you may encounter.
Here are the goals for this lesson. Take some time to carefully read them and when you're ready. The IELTS listening test is one module where test-taking skills and your ability to manage time are extremely important. It starts by knowing what to expect on the day. When you sit for the IELTS listening test, you will be given 2 documents: a test booklet and an answer sheet. The test booklet contains the details of all the questions you must answer. During the test you should write all your answers on the test booklet. At the end of the test, which lasts 30 minutes, you have an additional 10 minutes to transfer your final answers to the answer sheet. Both the test booklet and answer sheet must be handed in to the supervisor. At the end, only the final answers you write on the answer sheet will count. There are 4 sections to the listening exam. Each section contains 10 questions, making a total of 40 questions to be answered in the 30 minutes. Your ability to listen carefully and manage your time becomes critical to your success in the listening test. When the test starts, the supervisor will play pre-recorded audio, which contains all 4 sections. All candidates listen to the audio at the same time. There's perusal time included, but the audio will be played once and runs to strict time intervals. You'll hear a range of English accents, so you must listen carefully.
Throughout the exam you are given a number or directives by the instructor on tape. The audio tour. Each listening section in the exam begins with a brief introduction. It will explain the speakers and the situation. For example, you will hear words like, "You are about to hear a conversation between 2 friends who have recently enrolled at a university. First take some time to read questions 11 to 16. You should take careful note of the introductory comments, because they'll aid you in comprehension. And the comments should also help you to anticipate some of the language that may be used. Note also that the speaker will give you perusal time to read the questions. Perusal time is given at the start of each section, and sometimes in between as well. Don't forget, it's perfectly okay to write on the listening booklet. In fact, as our course progresses, you'll see that it's to your advantage to do so. We are now going to take a close look at the 4 sections of the test. Questions 1 to 10 make up Section 1. The listening task in Section 1 is usually based on a social need. Generally, you'll hear a dialogue in which one of the speakers is seeking information. Typical examples might be calling about new accommodation, or asking a person for directions around town, filling out an application form. For example, a bank application or membership to a video store. Unlike all the other sections of the listening test, Section 1 always begins with an example question, so you'll hear the introduction part of Section 1 twice. Section 2 covers test booklet questions 11 to 20. In this section, you'll usually hear one person giving a talk on a topic of general interest, usually based around a social need type subject. Topics such as booking for a holiday, weather or traffic reports, general information sessions at a university, a program of events at a conference. Again, these are topics of general interest. Section 3 covers test booklet questions 21 to 30, and usually takes the form of a conversation between 2, 3 or 4 speakers who will be discussing some kind of academic topic. For example, it might be a lecturer and students discussing an upcoming examination, or students talking about a university assignment. Often questions in this section will require you to understand the speaker's opinions about the subjects being discussed. Section 4 tends to be the most difficult for students. In this section, there's usually only one speaker and he or she is always talking about some kind of academic topic. In a lecture style, it might be, for example, part of a lecture about an ancient civilization, or camels in Africa. Section 4 covers test booklet questions 31 to 40, and it's typical of a university lecture. Now let's take a look at the types of questions you can expect to see on the test. One of the most widely used types of questions is multiple choice. Multiple choice questions are very familiar to most test takers. And you can expect to see them in the IELTS listening exam. They are among the most common of question forms used. Sometimes in the multiple choice questions you can be asked to choose 1, 2, or 3 answers. Another form of question is fill in the blank. In this type of question you are required to complete a sentence or phrase with the missing words. In the examples on your screen, you can see the dotted lines where you need to put your answers. Sometimes gaps are placed in the middle of sentences. But usually they re at the beginning or the end. Most often your answers will be words and at times may include a number. But be sure to carefully read the questions. Along with multiple choice questions. This is perhaps the most used type of question in the IELTS listening module. You will usually be asked to write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. Short answer questions are also used. As the name suggests, you are to give a short answer, usually a little longer than the standard 3 words. The example you see on the screen requires no more than 5 words. The typical mistake students make in this type of question is they write too many words. If you use too many words, you'll be marked wrong. So, in the example on the screen, if you wrote 6 words for any of your answers, you'd be marked wrong. You should, of course, carefully read the question before you begin to answer, so you don't make any costly errors. Another type of question you may encounter in the test is label the diagram. The diagrams will vary from graphs to simple pictures. Flow charts are also used at times. Visually, the diagrams are not complicated to understand. But you have to listen carefully to find the required answers. Parts of a diagram or simple drawing are discussed. And you re-asked to fill in the gaps with an answer. The pie chart on the screen, for example, might represent the amount of time spent at night on certain activities. Perhaps eating, sleeping and studying. A typical question would ask you to include the time as a percentage. Based upon what you hear. The second diagram on the screen is a floor layout of a building. In this example you might be asked to identify particular rooms. After listening to directions. Filing out a table is another common type of question in the listening exam. Your task is to till the areas which contain only a number. The number of the question with a correct answer. Note that if you see any areas of the table that are shaded, this means you must not write an answer in that space. When it comes to completing a table, you must take careful note of the headings because they guide you as to what to listen for. The important thing to remember with this type of IELTS question is that the headings of the table guide you through the question. And the information is always presented in a particular order. Usually from left to right. In the practice lab, there are many examples of all the question types covered in this lesson. Well done! You have now completed this lesson. Before move on to the next lesson, make sure you fully understand the lesson above. I recommend you to review from the beginning. See you in the next lesson.